So, your journey in rugby, we've just spoken to Leia Bartlett and Amy Cockayne, both of whom virtually were picking up a rugby ball from the age of 5 or 6 years old. Your journey is slightly different. I believe your first club was Hillhead Jordan Hill under 18s.
Yep.
Talk us through your start in rugby.
Okay, so I actually began rugby, I think I was 16 when I first started rugby. I'd maybe done some like little school things before that, but my main start was because I actually played basketball, and then my basketball coach was like, look, gal, you foul way too much, like you can't be doing that, maybe you should try rugby. And I tried it and I loved it, and that was kind of where it started, hence why I've got a little bit of a later start in life with the rugby journey. But yeah, I started at 16 at Birkmire, which was my local club, but we could only play one sevens tournament, and then moved to Hillhead, and that's where it all went from there.
Were you always quite a sporty person? Have you always been quite competitive?
Yeah, so I wouldn't even say I was ever that competitive. I was an only child, so didn't really have anyone to compete against, but I've always been sporty in that sense. Like, I've always been active. I had horses, and then I did like basketball, started rugby obviously a little bit later, like tried netball, stuff like that, but yeah, definitely sporty.
So you were born in Glasgow, but you've gotten quite used to moving around the UK since then. You went to university in Edinburgh before coming down to Wingham with DMP and now with Tigers. How was your experience at university playing for the university team?
Yeah, like incredible. That was definitely like when I truly like solidified the fact that I loved sport and like loved rugby. Like, there was one point in my life where I was like studying like rugby within my sports science degree and playing rugby and coaching, and I was doing like the media and comms for like my rugby club, so like everything in my life was just like rugby, and I just loved it, like totally thrived in that environment. And like my uni team was where I definitely came into my own. I had a lot of different roles within the team, like from, you know, being the youngest in the team at one point to being like the president. Like, I just feel like I totally grew up there, and like, yeah, came into myself and began to see rugby as like a career path and something that I actually really, really wanted to take forward. So yeah, it was a really great time and like a really insightful time in my life, I'd say.
Fantastic. Are there any particular highlights on the pitch from your time at Edinburgh?
Yeah, quite a few. I think, so there's two that stick out. My very, very first year, I was only 17, so I wasn't allowed to play in the front five. I don't know if that's still a rule now, but we had to get dispensated, and I could only play at back row, which I'd never done. So I was kind of played not very much for the first team, and then I got called up for the first team for the final, which was played at Twickenham actually, which was wild. And like, I just remember coming off the pitch, I think I'd played like 25 minutes or something at back row, probably made a million mistakes, but I was like, oh my god, that was unbelievable. Like, just the beating on Twickenham was just like wild, like I couldn't believe it. So yeah, that was a big highlight. And then I would probably say another one would be my last year. I was the president and the vice captain, and we went to the final again, and we did unfortunately lose, but at the end of that night, like, just everyone was like best friends, and like we were so close, and like it's just a surreal experience, like being able to play in these huge stadiums with like the girls that you train with week in and week out. Like, it's just so rewarding. So they're two big like positive memories for me.
Brilliant. Any particular uni teammates that you want to give a shout out to?
Go on. Let me have a think. I have a few favourites. So from my last year, definitely Sarah Denham. She was the captain. She was unreal. Like a great, you know, person to have on the pitch with you. I also met my best friends at uni, which would be like Anne Young, Sarah Denham, Sarah Donnelly. You need to cut that out. She'll kill me if I got those names mixed up. Sarah Donnelly, Anne Young, Kirsty Martin, legends. And from my first year, like, there were so many big names in my first year. It was actually wild. Like, I came into the team having only seen like your Rona Lloyds, like Lisa Thompsons and all that, like playing for Scotland, and I just came in and they were just like at uni next to me getting drunk. I was like, this is crazy. So I'm gonna have to give them a little bit of a shout out as well. They were pretty cool. But yeah. I'll do. I'll end up upsetting people.
Okay, we'll move on then. Going from university, you played last year at DMP Sharks. How was it, your time in Durham?
I think it was like a big mix for me. Like, it was quite difficult. I was travelling, so I still lived in Edinburgh, but I was travelling down to Durham 2 or 3 times a week, which was hard. But at the same time, the girls were amazing. Like, I think there's nothing that quite bonds you like losing every week, and those girls were definitely bonded because of that. But it just made for such a good environment and like a friendly, welcoming environment, which I really loved. And I think for me it was my first taste of the Prem, so like coming up against some really tough opposition, like the highest level I'd ever played before that, obviously, apart from my one cap, was at uni. It's just a very, very different game. So yeah, I think it was good. It was definitely a mixed emotions type of year, but it was good.
How was it going from university rugby, obviously having that brilliant experience at Twickenham, but then into the most elite women's rugby competition in the world, the Premier 15s, now Premiership Women's Rugby? How was it finding your feet there?
To be brutally honest, it was actually really, really, really hard. I found that year quite emotional. I definitely had a confidence drop, and although my ability probably didn't get worse, I felt as if it did, because obviously you go from that place where like in uni rugby everything's quite like fast and everyone's quite small, and it's a different game, and like in that game I was a certain type of player, and then in this new game I'm kind of like, I was rediscovering who I was and like rediscovering how I wanted to play, and you know, also rediscovering life as a professional athlete. Like, I'd never had that before. I'd always had 50 other things on my plate, so actually that shift was really difficult emotionally, and I think I've definitely learned a lot from it. But it wasn't easy. There was definitely highs and lows, but it definitely wasn't easy.
In terms of now that you've come to Leicester Tigers, how was that decision-making process? How was it deciding to come down here to the Midlands?
I don't know how much you know about my decision-making process, but it was crazy. I first phoned Vicky like 6 months ago, as soon as the announcement was made, because when I was at uni we played against Leicester Tigers at the stadium, and it was like the best environment. Like, it was so cool, the club was lovely, the girls were lovely, the game itself was really interesting and fun, and I was just like, God, I want to be part of this. So as soon as it was announced, I phoned her and I said, look, I know you won't be taking many people, but I need to be in, like, I love it. And she was like, whoa, you're keen, like, okay, cool. And so I was so excited and so buzzing. And then Big Amy Cocaine was announced, I've told her this, and I was thinking, God, I really need the game time, I'm a bit worried, like, and I was on the fence, and then I was like, nah, do you know what? I need to just trust my gut, and like culture comes before anything for me. Like culture, coach-athlete relationship, like they're so important to me. So I phoned her up again. I was like, look, I know that I left you dry for a little while, but I need to be here. I need to be part of this culture, and I need to show up for this team, because it just, my gut reaction, I'm like, I need to go with my heart here. So I did. I phoned her up, and she was like, oh, I'll see what I can do. I'll see if I can make space. I was like, please make space. So yeah, she made space, and here I am. And actually, it was the best decision ever. Amy's cool. Like, she's a great mentor, and like, I've already learned so much from her in like 2 weeks of pre-season. So I actually think it's like been one of the best decisions I've made ever. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased that I came. That was my long journey to deciding where to come.
That's great. And speaking of Amy, I mean, I don't think it's a particularly controversial statement to say that she's the best hooker in the world. How exciting is it to learn, you know, under her wisdom tree, as it were? Are there any particular pearls of wisdom that she's handed down thus far? Obviously, we're only 3 weeks in. But.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think for me, it's kind of unbelievable, like, the amount of really great mentors I've had in my life, or people who I've kind of fallen under, and like it's just been really great. Like, I've come into the Scotland setup, and I've obviously got Lana Skeldon and Jodie, and like they're such great role models, and they can teach you so much. But I think something that's so valuable is like a variety of different people, and Amy brings something completely different to them, if that makes sense. Like, just a different type of mentorship and a different type of understanding of the game, and like having that variety is so valuable. Like, she's so calm and like secure in her understanding of the game, and like she'll just say things really offhandedly. Like they might be a little bit rude sometimes, but they're kind of funny. So she'll just be like, "Oh, the reason why that was shit is because you did this," and I'm a bit like, "Was it really that bad? Like, is it that shit?" But she is very good, and yeah, like I feel like we're getting on really well, and like I'm hoping she doesn't see this. Like you can't show her this, but I do really rate her, and I think she's a great like mentor for me, and like I'm really excited for like everything that I think she'll teach me over this season.
Brilliant. How have the sessions been so far? Obviously, we're 3 weeks into pre-season. How have you found it?
Hard, very hard. A lot of running, a lot of meters, a lot of big lifts, but like so rewarding. I feel like the team is gelling so well. I feel like it's one of those experiences where like I came in, and obviously like when you come in you're meeting loads of new people, it's really nerve-wracking, but I came in and I just feel like everyone was suddenly just like such good friends. Like I know obviously a lot of the girls knew each other before because of the championship team, but I feel like there was a lot of new girls introduced, and like it's just amazing how quickly everyone was so kind, and like, you know, people are like, "Oh, you know, you can stay in my house if you need to, you can do this, you can do that, I can give you a lift here, I can do this," and like it's so lovely. So yeah, like it's high intensity, it's definitely high emotion, high intensity, but it's also so warm and friendly that it's like the perfect balance of like really tough, and you know, you're kind of grinding out those sessions together, but then also like so friendly and lovely. So like yeah, I'm like absolutely loving it so far.
Brilliant. And then the group themselves, did you know, obviously you've got a good Scottish contingent here, Leah Bartlett, Fran McGee soon to come, Evie Wills is here, Eva Donaldson. How has that been so far? Already knowing a few of the girls coming in.
Yeah, so obviously it's different because like I was here the first week when it was just me and Leah, and then obviously all the Scottish girls are kind of filtering in. But it's so exciting. Like I feel like that group of Scottish girls, like we all work so well together. Like me and Eva were together at uni, and like even like in set piece and stuff, like I know exactly how she acts in set piece, and I feel like we work off each other really well. And me and Leah have been like bouncing off each other really well. So it's such a great thing to come in with a group of people who, like, you know how they work, you know how they tick, like you know how they play rugby, and it means that you work really well together. But at the same time, like I knew Tanya as well, Tanya Bird. So like I've knew a few people, but not so many that I was like stuck in a group, if that makes sense. So it's been class, like being able to filter out and talk to everyone, but also having like a little bit of safety and knowing that you've like got a friend there 100%. But yeah, no, it's class. Like I think it's gonna be such a good group.
Brilliant. It's a Saturday afternoon. The rugby's on. You're at home on the sofa. What's your drink and snack of choice?
Oh, that's a tough one. Right, so I love a Tango Ice Blast.
Nice.
Yeah,
This
I
is
love
brilliant.
a
So
raspberry
I'll have
mix.
tea or a coffee. So
Oh,
this is
nah.
a welcome, refreshing change.
I do like teas and coffees, but like I'm not gonna lie, if I'm gonna treat myself, I'm watching a game on the sofa, I'm gonna take Tango Ice Blast. Like in Edinburgh, I live like a 15-minute walk from the cinema. Sometimes I'll nip down to the cinema. Don't tell the nutritionist this. Nip down to the cinema, get myself a Tango Ice Blast, a large salted popcorn. Oh, that is different. It's so good. And then you can just shut the blinds and you feel like you're at the cinema. It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's going to be my snack and my thing. But I do like giant milky buttons as well. No, chocolate strawberries.
You make your international debut against the USA. Tell me how you felt that day.
So there's a wee bit of a backstory to that. I wasn't actually in the 25, nor was I in the game day squad. And on the Saturday morning, I got a phone call from the manager saying, "Look, the bench is sick." And I was like, "Oh, right." And she was like, "So you're gonna probably get captain of the USA today?" And I was like, "Gooped, what am I meant to do here?" So I got a taxi to the hotel, did the walkthrough, got on the team bus, got to the game, and then was sitting on the bench all within the space of 2 hours. And I was like, what's going on? So overwhelmed would be the right word, but also like really excited. And then unfortunately my teammate Rachel McLaughlin broke her elbow with 25 minutes to go, and Brian's like, "Ellen, get Elis on." And I was like, "Me, right now, there's still 25 minutes to go, this is crazy." So that happened, and I went on, and it was wild. It was like my head was in a dishwasher. I can't even remember a single second of it. I watched the video back and I was like, who is this girl? It's not me, I don't know, I don't remember it, blacked out. But it was really fun, it was really cool. So yeah, that's the story. It's kind of wild.
How's it been in the Scotland camp? Obviously, you touched on Lana Skeldon before. How is it similar to working with Amy, that it's just brilliant to work with someone with such fantastic experience in the game? How has that been?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think, as I said earlier, like the variety and different, like, it's not skill level variety, it's like skill type variety. Like, it's so good, like each person has their strength, and you can like take a little bit from them and like feed off their strengths and understand their weaknesses, and like really, like the amount of like mentorship that I've had from Lana especially has been unbelievable. Like, she's definitely improved my game a lot. Even if it was just to stand and watch her for 15 minutes, I feel like I would learn something. So yeah, like being in those camps has been like completely surreal. I've definitely probably annoyed people with my like, I feel like I'm a puppy sometimes. Like, I was just like, wow, this is so exciting, it's the best day ever. But like, it is, and I love it. Obviously everything comes with its ups and downs, but like, I just feel really grateful to be there right now and like learning from everyone. It's just, yeah, it's been unreal, so I love it.
Bro, it's an incredibly exciting time for Scottish women's rugby, not only because you're such a part of such a young core of upcoming players, yourself and Evie and Eva and Fran just at Leicester Tigers alone, but obviously the move towards professional contracts. How brilliant is it to be a part of that environment at the moment?
Yeah, like it's amazing. I think the difference that the contracts have made for like not really everyone's playing time, because I think everyone trains probably a very similar amount, but the amount of rest that you can now have that you could never have before, the amount of even the little things that make the difference, being able to make your dinner before you go to training makes the world of difference to everyone. Like, I can come in from training at 8 o'clock, eat dinner straight away, have a shower and go to bed, and I'm still in bed for 9:30. Whereas before, it was like you'd get in at 8:30, you spend an hour prepping and making your meal because you've been at work all day or you've been at uni all day, and like it just makes such a difference. It also means like we can focus on our careers around being a person as well as a rugby player. So like for me, it's meant I could take on a bit more coaching, I could take on more photography, I could take on more hobbies, and like those things really develop you as a person and mean that you've got, you know, a bit more of a foolproof career after rugby as well. So like it's just been unbelievable. Like it was a dream since I was like a child to be a professional rugby player, and like the fact that people ask me what my job is and I can turn around and say, oh, I'm a professional rugby player, like blows my mind sometimes. It's so cool.
It is very brilliant. How excited are you for Leicester Tigers now that you're here? How excited are you for their first year in Premiership Women's Rugby?
Yeah, I'm buzzing for it. I think like I've kind of touched on how exciting it is to have such a like cool group of girls together. Everyone seems to be getting on really well, and the culture is amazing. The coaches are great. Like everything just seems to be in place and seems to be kind of going in the right direction, if that makes sense. I know we're only a few weeks into pre-season, but I have a really great feeling for this season, and I think although it will definitely be a building year, it's going to be a year where we figure ourselves out, we figure out how we want to play, we create a legacy and an identity for ourselves as a team, and then, you know, in the coming years we can build on that and build on that. And like I can definitely see this in the long term being like a winning club. Like it's absolutely got the right foundations in place to be an amazing place to be.
Absolutely, and obviously you're building on such a history of success that Leicester Tigers have had. A key part of that in the Leicester Tigers history is the ABC Club, which you'll now be joining. How excited are you to be a part of that as a front rower?
So obviously Leicester Tigers are known for being an up-front team and like building success off the front row. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm huge, and my big strength is being a huge front row, so I love it. I'm very excited. That was satire, by the way. But no, I am buzzing. It's going to be cool. I love being front row.
How excited are you? Obviously, you played there once, like you say, and you really love the experience, but how excited are you to be running out in front of the fans at Mattioli Woods, Walford Road?
Oh, so excited. Like, the time that I did play there, I thought it was unbelievable. Like, obviously, I've been very, very privileged to be able to play at a couple of stadiums and, like, have that, but I've never had like a home stadium that feels like home to you and that feels like, you know, that's your crowd and your fans and like your stadium, your changing room. And like I'm so excited. I can't even explain to you how excited I am for not to be like the back pitches of some, you know, club down the road that you've just had to run to because yours are flooded. Like the experience of having a home is so rewarding, and it really feels like it feels like you can win, and like it's your fortress, it's your castle, and I'm really, really excited for that.
Fantastic. That's everything I've got.